All right, Shine Campus, welcome to um, From the Trash Man to the Trash, or From the Trash Man to the Cash Man um, book study. We are going to get right into it. We're on Mental Money Trap number 8. So, poor people value formal education over self education. So we have bought into the formal education game. If a person is going to be a doctor, lawyer, an engineer, or something that requires a formal education, then I'm all for it. In fact, I submit to you the educational system in America does not teach financial independence. It does not teach you how to think. It programs you not to think. So do not or don't get me wrong. It's very important to get an education. We must all learn to read and write and do arithmetic, but we must not make the mistake of thinking that education equals success, because education doesn't equal success. Success equals success until and unless a person learns to use his or her mind for the purpose of thinking. Too much education can be more of a hindrance than a help. The educational process often thwarts the greatness of our young people because we're buying into the fact that more and more education makes you better or more likely to succeed. People think that having a degree means they deserve to make more money. Many people become disappointed when they graduate from college and cannot find a job that pays them what they had hoped they would earn when they started school. People in their 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s are going back to school because their life isn't working. Well, guess what? It's not going to work any better after they go back to school. So the formal education process in this country thwarts intelligence and it thwarts the ability to think. Do you remember being in elementary school and the teacher teaching you how to do math equations? Do you remember being intimidated by math even at an early age? I believe most people struggle with math because when we talk about mathematical equations, we call them math problems. Who wants a problem? Who wants to think about a problem? So their mind shuts down and gives them a negative connotation of math before they even get started. If you're not good at math, you won't be good at money. Go ahead and think back to the elementary school days. Your teacher taught you how to do mathematical equations. You understood the concept and figured out a better, easier, and faster way to do it. They said, "No, I don't want you to do it that way. I want you to do it this way." If 2 plus 2 is 4, then what difference does it make how you get there? One of the negative things that comes from the way they teach math in schools is that you begin to believe on a subconscious level that in order for an answer to be right, it has to be hard. The educational system doesn't want you to think, it just wants you to parakeet. It wants you to regurgitate what you've heard. The system doesn't want you to understand concepts, it only wants you to memorize processes. What can this prepare you for besides being an employee? Why does the educational system teach this way? Number one, that's how the teacher was taught to teach it. So if you do it a different way, you're not validating their education. Number two, if you do it a different way, you're causing them to have to think about what you just did. They don't think, they don't have time to think. They're too busy processing papers according to their system. The current educational system doesn't teach you to think, it programs you not to think. A good friend of mine, Jerry Clark, said when he was in elementary school, the teacher said Columbus discovered America in 1492. And when he discovered America, there were these people here, and he called them Indians because they reminded him of the people he saw in India. He said, he raised his hand and said, "Excuse me, teacher, I thought you said that Columbus discovered America." She said, "He did." Then Jerry said, "I thought you said there were people already here. If there were people already here, how could you say that he discovered it?" He got sent to the principal's office. Why did Jerry get sent to the principal's office? Jerry got sent to the office because he was thinking. Not only did the teacher not want to him to think, but the teacher didn't want to think either. The educational process in America does not teach you to think, it programs you to think. The educational process also creates a class system. I'm talking about smart versus dumb. What happens? You're in the classroom, the teacher calls you up to the board to work on a problem, a math problem. You work it out and you get the wrong answer. What do all the other kids do in the classroom? They laugh. Not only do they laugh in the classroom, but when they get out on the playground, they call you dummy and they call you stupid because you didn't know the answer. Then what happens? You hit them and you get sent to the principal's office and get labeled as a bully. This whole process started because you pushed somebody around who had pushed you around first, because the teacher taught them that it's okay for them to push you by laughing, but it's not okay for you to push them by hitting. You see what has happened. They've created a class system. This class system of smart versus dumb is a very difficult thing for children to process when they are just getting started in life. You might even get labeled. What if you have a teacher who is an auditory teacher and you're a visual learner? Or you have a visual teacher and you're a kinesthetic learner? You learn by doing something, but the teacher expects you to learn by saying something. It doesn't make you a bad person just because you don't learn the way they teach. It's really interesting to me that the government forces children to go to school. The teachers are paid for being there. When the teacher can't learn the way the teachers teach, we say the student has a learning disability. In my opinion, we ought to say that the teacher has a teaching disability, because as a teacher, it should be the teacher's responsibility to cause every student in the class to learn what they're saying. After all, they are getting paid to teach. Einstein said, if I can't explain a concept to an intelligent 12-year-old, I don't understand it myself. What if every teacher had that philosophy? What would happen in schools if the teachers took responsibility for what the children learn? What if the educational system admitted that if they can't explain a concept to a 12-year-old, they don't understand it themselves? We value formal education too much. I want you to think about this. Most college professors only know how to teach. They teach business, but if they knew how to do business, they'd have one. In order for that college business professor to be a great professor, they have to be an entrepreneur, either now or in the past. They would have to be a business owner in order to understand the nuances and the ins and outs and true concepts of being an entrepreneur and creating wealth. For somebody to teach personal finance, they have to be financially wealthy. You can't just teach something that you learned in a book. If you transfer something from your head, it will only reach the head, but if you transfer it from the heart, it will reach the heart. If you transfer it from your life, it will reach a whole life. One of the problems with money trap number 9 is that we value formal education over self education. You say, Myron, what is self education? Self education is the kind of education that I've gotten myself. My library is worth $80,000 to $110,000. I invest in my mind on a monthly basis anywhere from $700 to $5,000, sometimes a little more. I invest that much in self education because it manifests itself in fortune. Now, I'm not suggesting that you start out with that much of an investment, but start investing something in your mind. I like what Jim Rohn said. If you get a formal education, it will make you a living. But if you get a self education, it will make you rich. Formal education will make you a living, but self education will make you wealthy. While I heard Jim Rohn put this into words, I have proved it over and over in my own life. The greatest things that I've ever learned in my life financially, I learned as an adult by buying a book, going to a seminar, or by buying an audio program, listening to it over and over again. Start a success library, invest in your success library every month, always learn something new that can make your life better. Don't be afraid of the challenge of learning something new. The new thing that you learn can create for you a new future and some new friends. So if you will go to work yourself, your new self will go to work on your situation, and before you know it, you'll be living the life that you always dreamed about. Remember, formal education will make you a living, but a self-education can make you a fortune. I think we have time to do one more. Let's see. Yeah, let's do it. Let's look at it. Poor people have no financial education. We don't understand how money works. I always say any financial principle that you do not understand and you're not using, someone is using against you. Therefore, it would behoove all of us to get a great financial education as great a financial education as we possibly can. Most poor people have no idea how money works. We understand the rule of 72. We don't understand how to use debt to create wealth. We only know how to use debt to create poverty. I know I have covered some of these concepts in this book. I want you to make sure that what you've learned about financial principles in this book is the beginning of your financial literacy study and not the end of it. If you want to be financially free, you must learn to use financial principles and keep some of all you earn and let the money earn more money for you. So you've got to take some of your money, at least 10% of your money, and put it into a no touch fund. You've got to put it in what I call I can finish free can. That 10% of your income will literally change your life forever because you're putting it in something that you never take it out of, and you focus on putting that money in places that produce compound interest for you, a compound return for you. If you'll do that, then you'll be wealthy before you know it. I cannot emphasize enough the power of using the cans. If you haven't gotten your cans already, make sure you get them today and start managing your money. After you finish this book, go on to read other financial books that will teach you how to make your money work harder and harder for you. Make sure you continue your financial education and your wealth will continue to grow. All right, so our two money traps. The first money trap was the idea that poor people value formal education over self education. And the more you understand the robotic nature um, that formal education creates, and you understand how to do it and how not to do it. Self education gives you the freedom to learn without parameters. And then um, the idea of um, the idea of being able to apply rules to your money is a big deal. So poor people have no financial education. So just understanding more about finances is a huge deal. And some of those were discussed and important for us to continue as we try to build our wealth. All right, we'll pick up on mental money trap number 10 when we come back next week.